John Weeks, the snapper. Cam Johnston, the holder. Fairbairn's kick is good. And the Texans win it here in Nashville.
Let me tell you something. On this glorious Monday, December 18th of 2023, let me tell you something. There's a 4-letter word in our English language. It's called grit. Now, I ain't never seen no dictionary. I'm just a rancher in East Texas who happens to cover football for a living. I ain't like those frauds up in Nashville at their bachelorette parties and their head coach who's too much of a chicken to wear a cowboy hat for a whole game, even though he was supposedly paying homage to the great Bum Phillips. I'm just going to go back to that word, grit. I don't have no fancy dictionary. I don't. So I don't know what the word grit means until yesterday when I saw your Houston Texans take down the Tennessee Titans, Oilers, whatever. They can kiss my grits because the Texans are grit. And damn, that was a beautiful victory yesterday, 16-19, over the Tennessee Titans, who were cosplaying as the Houston Oilers. Those sumbitches, we kicked the door in on them. Hey, Amy Adams, what's your deal? Look at your cute little uniforms, your pretty little clothes. Oh no, did you get your own skid marks on it? Are you covered in your own poo after making an ass of yourself and showing your ass to the whole world? That's damn right. All right, I'll start talking like a normal person. Hello, everybody, and welcome aboard the Paul Gallant Show. On this Monday, December 18th, I am pumped. That was truly a team win in a sport that seems to be going away from that concept. No, I'm not about to dive down a Tucker Carlson rabbit hole. I just like seeing teams win when the odds are stacked against them. And you could argue, okay, but the Texans were playing against a Tennessee Titans team with a rookie quarterback, a team that doesn't have much to play for. Yeah, technically they weren't eliminated at that moment in time, but the odds were very much against that team making it. But that Titans team still has some very good players. That Titans team had a miraculous comeback against one of the better teams in the AFC on Monday, the Miami Dolphins. It has Derrick Henry, who in 4 of the last 6 games against the Texans had 200-plus yards. It has DeAndre Hopkins, who, of course, used to play for the Houston Texans. And I think there's a strong argument to make that DeAndre Hopkins was as good as Andre Johnson. I'm not going to make that because that's not the point of today's show. That was just a gritty team win in a sport where it feels like you're effed without a quarterback. And the Texans didn't do it with their backup quarterback. They did it with their third-string quarterback in Case Keenum, a man who I have talked about for an abnormal amount of time. Sean Mapes, I'll have you know, I used to talk about Case Keenum when I was in college. I'm not kidding about that. We used to have some random caller call into our Saturday We're All Hungover sports talk show and ask us questions about Case Keenum. Ask my friend Gus. I don't know why this person always called in asking about Case Keenum, who went to college for like 6 years or so. But here I am yet again talking about Case Keenum. And there's been some interesting roads with Case Keenum. You know, there was a time where I thought his fans were just psychotic and delusional and needed to calm down. Like he had 6 great quarters against the Chiefs and Colts in 2013. Then he was very bad afterwards. But then he came back and it was like, oh, that's cool to see Case Keenum back in there. There's lots of Cougs out there. I am an honorary Coug, of course. There's lots of Cougs out there who believe that he was like the prince who was promised. But here we are, Sean. It's Saturday and all of a sudden I wake up and I check my phone and I texted you like in all caps saying, oh my God, are we about to get Case Keenum on Sunday? Yes, let's go.
I still, that's such a wild move to just be like Case Keenum. Because I originally thought, I was like, okay, maybe just as a like, against the Oilers, who better to defend the city's honor
legitimately
than Case Keenum?
The guy who's been a quarterback longer than anyone in Houston history. Honestly, seriously, that's
the number one longest tenured quarterback in the history of Houston sports. He's like the John Weeks, Texans long snapper, of quarterbacking, because Warren Moon didn't play his whole career here. Deshaun Watson, gone. I mean, Dan Pastorini asked out when he was with the Oilers during the Love You Blue days. Like, legitimately, Case Keenum is the longest tenured Houston quarterback ever.
Like a decade non-consecutive of...
Right. It's not consecutive, that's for sure. And it's been weird because it was 2013 and 2014 and now 2023, almost 10 years later.
Well, it was also like 04 to 2010, too.
Right.
In college.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, we're talking about, as you said, 04 to 2010. We're talking about like 20 years of quarterbacking in some capacity in Houston. Obviously non-consecutive. So I am wearing a Love You Blue colored Houston Cougars shirt today.
Wow. That's a good shirt.
It's actually authentic.
Oh, they can sell those?
They have not sent a cease and desist for this.
Wow.
So it's Case Keenum with this completely hamstrung team going up there and getting the Oilers, my bad, the Titans, pretty little clothes, all dirty, holding that L. And the impressive things that this team did along the way. First off, Devin Singletary. Good God, brother. I hope you're getting an ice bath, everything afterwards. That was a hell of a performance by him.
He's so good. Like, is Devin Singletary actually like a really good running back?
Statistically, Sean, he's one of the top 4 in the NFL since week 10. And then yesterday happened. So that was going into the game. In that game, he has the big 41-yard catch and run to set the Texans up for the game-winning field goal. He technically walked the game off with a touchdown right before that got called back by a hold. I don't know about that call, but whatever. He was so good in this game. And it's saying something because I think Dameon Pierce is a very talented running back. I think he's a good player. But Singletary has taken this, and that was the whole game plan yesterday. They gave the ball to other running backs exactly twice. Daria Gumbawale, 1 carry. Dameon Pierce, 1 carry. Steven Sims had more carry than Dameon Pierce. Probably shouldn't do that. That's neither here nor there. Singletary was an effing man in this game behind the Texans offensive line that is very hamstrung right now. They didn't even have George Fant. They had a very difficult time protecting Keenum. I think the reason Keenum was in the game because he can move, unlike Davis Mills. So, number 1, Singletary. Holy smokes, what a performance. Number 2, who would have thought that, and I'm going to butcher it, I don't care. I'm trying to give proper honor to a man who has a very intimidating name. John Christian Kaimino Lo Mikai Kioke Kumupu Fairbairn had an awesome return. And it makes you wonder, where the hell would the Houston Texans be if they'd had Fairbairn all season long? And specifically for that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they would be in first place. But it's not just that he hit 2 50-plus yard field goals, which is something that every Texan coach should now understand he's capable of doing. Lovie Smith forgot. There was a moment D'Amico forgot this year, Sean.
I will say D'Amico, though, in overtime, very much learned his lesson because they played for the field goal hard after the aforementioned Devin Singletary catch and run, and then the play the hold that called back the walk-off that he had. Then it was just like run up the middle twice, and then they kicked it on 3rd down with 2 seconds left.
Actual thought that went through my head, Sean.
A tie would be hilarious.
Well, no, it wouldn't have been hilarious. Not this game. You had to win this one.
I think especially with
the Oilers uniforms, you had to win this. I would have been more pissed with a tie than I would with a win. But there was a moment towards the end of overtime towards the end of the 4th quarter, before Davis Mills had the worst Hail Mary attempt I think I've ever seen. God, Davis, I feel bad for Davis, but
almost
Jesus Christ, he almost fumbled it. I mean, the only thing Adam Archuleta, the color commentator for that game, was right about the whole game, and my God, he sucks. But the only thing he was right about the whole game was where Davis Mills is like holding the ball like a loaf of bread and basically trying to give it away. But before that Hail Mary, Sean, I was thinking to myself, could Kaimi Fairbairn hit a 65-yard field goal?
Like he's Sebastian Janikowski?
Seriously.
Like lining up like behind.
He's hit
like,
a 61-yarder?
30?
Right. Well, I was thinking, I was trying to do the math in my head. I was like, okay, So it's 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage is how long a field goal is. So
you had like 17 to
right. You had
whatever
17.
yard line.
So I was thinking to myself, okay, if they're at the 50 and it's a 67-yard field goal, would you trust Fairbairn with it? I'll say this: I trust Fairbairn with a 67-yard field goal more than I trust Davis Mills with a Hail Mary again. I definitely trust him on that.
100% true.
And I gotta say, those field goals, he made them by a lot. Like, it wasn't like they just went over the crossbar, like with Amendola who doinked the front bar. I mean, those carried.
Yeah, no. I mean, I would have to check the altitude of Nashville, see if we can get some Mile House Stadium. Like, oh, you can add a couple of yards. But no, Ka'imi Fairbairn was awesome. I think, I mean, if we're going to do like credit pie for the game, I don't know if this is a little, no, this is about right to do credit pie. I think obviously the defensive front probably number one for me.
Oh, 7 sacks.
7 sacks.
12 tackles for a loss. Sean, do you know what?
Almost murdered Will Levis.
Derrick Henry's final numbers off the top of your head.
I saw that.
16 carries for 9 yards. Are you effing kidding me? Holy crap.
He also had 4 receptions for also very little yards. It was the first time in NFL history any player has gotten 20 or more touches with like less than 10 yards.
He could not do a damn thing.
Washed.
And Will Levis looked like Batman in The Dark Knight Rises going up against Bane. Now, I guess he was totally fine.
He walked off the CBS commentary. I don't. This probably never happened in NFL history
they
before.
Suck. I hate that team. I actually do not like them.
They were like, we cannot show this replay because of how graphic it was. And then like after the injury timeout, they show Will Levis walking by himself into the injury tent. I'm like, show the replay.
How many things have they been wrong about? And this is a CBS thing too. But okay, amazingly, worse than Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta on the call. I'm sorry, we're getting negative already. This is just who I am. The cameraman for that game should be shot. They should be shot. That person needs to be sent out of this field forever. I have never seen a camera person worse. To the point where, look, going to a football game, it's not fun in 2023. It's not. You got to drive in. You got to pay for parking. You know, it's going to take you a while to get into the stadium because of security. Your seats are probably not going to be as good as your view would be if you're watching the game at home on TV. You have to pay for the drinks. It takes you forever to get out, except for the exception of Sunday in Nashville, where this bozo couldn't get one play. He could not. You had to wait until the replay after every single play to officially know what happened. If the ball was not 10, not 5, if the ball was 2 yards downfield, and even then, you weren't 100% sure because of that effing bozo. Sorry, we're being mean here, but like the biggest losers in Sunday, it was not even the Tennessee Titans and their Houston Oilers unis. It was the CBS broadcast team. Jesus, you set it back years. Could Sean Mapes, University of Texas broadcast production do better with no heads up than the CBS team? Could a Syracuse broadcast team of me and my drunken college friends do the same thing? Yes. CBS? Cancel yourself. Awful.
Yeah. The first throw, I was like, because the first time I like super noticed how like the play was not in frame when the ball hit the receiver was, I think it was like a deep pass from Will Levis, and at first I was like, whoa, he just smoked that one. Like I was like, he must have thrown it 900 miles per hour.
Right, and then I was like, no, just a routine pass.
Yeah, then I noticed like every pass. Like you said, that's more than like 2 yards from the line of scrimmage was like that.
I can't believe how bad that guy was. Or girl. I don't know who it was. I'm not going to assume the gender.
Very inclusive of you. Yeah, no, that was a tough one. I hope the Texans, especially with this win, hopefully CJ Stroud comes back this week. I hope we've, as a franchise, officially graduated from the CBS like 7th team on a weekend.
I know.
Can we as a franchise do that?
Spiro Ditas, if you listened to the show last week, I mentioned how there used to be broadcasters who would just butcher Texans names all the time. And Spiro Ditas always used to say like DeAndre Watkins or Deshaun Hopwatt. Like he could not handle all the many Texans D etc. DeAndre, Deshaun. He couldn't do it. He kept on butchering it. Anyway,